You know that feeling when you use an app for the first time and it just works? Like it knows exactly what you want to do next? Or a website where you find what you need almost instantly? Well, that's not magic. That is user experience design, or UX for short. It's one of the fastest growing and most exciting fields out there right now. And today, we're going to pull back the curtain and show you exactly what it's all about.
So here's our game plan. We'll start with the big question. What even is user experience? Then we'll walk through how a product goes from a simple idea to something you can actually use. We'll get into what a designer really does all day, explore the different types of roles out there, and finally, look at what your career in UX could look like. Ready? Let's do this.
Okay, first things first. Before we can talk about the job, we have to get our heads around the big idea, the whole philosophy that drives every single decision a UX designer makes.
So let me ask you, think about your absolute favorite app. Or, hey, even just a favorite coffee mug. What makes you love it? What makes it great to use? Chances are, it's not just about what the thing does. It's about how you feel when you're using it. And that feeling, right there, that's the heart and soul of user experience.
For a product to be great, it absolutely has to be usable. That just means its purpose is obvious, and it's easy to figure out. My favorite example is the ketchup bottle. Remember the old glass ones? You'd have to turn it upside down, smack the bottom, and just hope. The new squeezable bottles, though, they're a masterclass in usability. They put you in control. Simple, clear, and easy to use.
All right, next up, Equitable. This one is so important. It means the design works well for everyone, no matter their abilities or background. We're talking about things like making sure your app has high-contrast text for people with visual impairments, or that your videos have closed captions. It's about being intentional and making sure everyone gets a high-quality experience.
Now, a product can be perfectly usable and equitable, but still be kind of blah. You know? That's where enjoyable comes in. This is about creating a real positive connection with the user. It's that little bit of fun animation that makes you smile, or a clever bit of writing that feels really human. This is what takes a product from just a tool to something you actually love.
And last but definitely not least, a product has to be useful. This is the bedrock. Does it actually solve a real problem for someone? Think about it. If you're totally lost and you open a map app and it helps you get home, that app is incredibly useful. But if it keeps crashing or can't find your location, well, it doesn't matter how pretty it is, it's failed.
So we've got our 4 key ingredients: usable, equitable, enjoyable, and useful. Awesome. But how do you actually bake those into a real product? Well, it's not random. There's a structured process for it, a journey that takes a spark of an idea and turns it into something real.
And that journey usually has about 5 steps. It kicks off with brainstorming. This is the no idea is a bad idea phase, just getting everything out there. Then you have to define. This is where you get focused, do your research, and figure out the one specific problem you're going to solve. After that, it's time to design, sketching, building, and bringing those ideas to life. But then comes a super important step. You test it. You put your designs in front of real people to see what works and what doesn't. And only after you've learned from that feedback and made changes do you finally get to launch.
Okay, so you see the whole process. Now, the big question. Where do you, the UX designer, fit in? What do you actually do all day? I'll give you a hint. It is way, way more than just picking pretty colors.
Seriously, the work is all over the place, in a good way. One day, you might be a detective, doing research and interviewing people to uncover their real needs. The next day, you're an architect, creating wireframes. Those are like the basic blueprints for a screen. Then, you might become an inventor, building prototypes that people can actually click and interact with. And behind the scenes, you're also organizing everything, creating the information architecture so the whole thing makes sense. You're part psychologist, part artist, part strategist. It's a real mix.
And I just love this quote from a designer. It really nails what it's like when you're starting out. You really do get to wear a lot of different hats, especially at a smaller company. You get your hands dirty with a little bit of everything, and you learn so much just by working with all the different people on your team. It's the best way to figure out what you truly love doing.
That idea of wearing a lot of hats actually brings us to a really key question about your career. See, not all UX jobs are the same. You can be a generalist who does a bit of everything, or you can go deep and become a specialist. Let's break that down.
So, you've got your generalists. These are the jack-of-all-trades designers. You'll find them a lot at smaller companies or startups where they need to handle everything from research to visual design. Then you've got your specialists. These are people who go super deep on one specific thing, like user research or motion design. You tend to see these roles more at bigger companies with larger design teams.
But then there's a third model, and it's what a lot of designers aim for: becoming T-shaped.
Just picture the letter T. That deep vertical part of the T, that's your specialty, the one thing you're an absolute expert in. But the horizontal bar at the top, that's your broad knowledge of all the other areas. This makes you so valuable because you're an expert who can also speak the language of the entire team and collaborate really effectively.
All right, let's bring this home by looking at what a career in UX can actually look like. This field is huge, and it's growing every single day, which means there are so many different paths you can take.
You see, UX designer is kind of a big umbrella term. Underneath it, you've got all these amazing specializations. An interaction designer, for instance, is obsessed with how a product feels and behaves. A visual designer is focused on the look, the typography, the colors, the whole aesthetic. Motion designers bring things to life with animation. And then you have people like UX researchers, who are purely focused on understanding people, or UX writers, who craft every single word you see on the screen. Each of these is its own fascinating career.
So, what's the big takeaway here? At its core, UX design is all about people. It's a field built on empathy. It's about spotting real human problems and using creativity and technology to solve them. By keeping those 4 words in mind, usable, equitable, enjoyable, and useful, designers get to create things that don't just work, but that actually make people's lives a little easier, and maybe even a little better. And that's the real power of UX design, isn't it? The chance to fix things that are frustrating or confusing. The chance to solve real problems for real people, whether they're big or small. So the real question for you isn't just about starting a new career. It's about looking at the world around you and deciding what problem will you solve first.